I had my residence and I had a job in New York. I was feeling empty and I decided to come back. I created this place. I did everything. I want to show that there is a way to do business without, damaging the environment. I loved when I have guests that don't know even a knowledge what sustainability and just they end up being here. And they live happy because in the beginning they are like, where is the air conditioning? I'm gonna die. Then next day come to me and say, oh, Melanie, you don't know how great was my night. One of them said, when I was little, I used to be with my grandmother a lot and she had her Mayan house. When I stayed there and I revived all this experience of being in a Casa Maya, it reminded me of my grandmother and what I had with her. And it was, very, very emotional for me.
Hello, welcome to the podcast Telar Maestro. I'm Manuel Ayala, and I'm today in Izamal, Yucatan, and I'm happy to be with Melanie Lopez. She's the founder and the owner of and the hotel and the hostel, and sustainable and hotel and hostel Casa Maya. And I'm happy to talk with her because she is part of this sustainable movement, and I would like you to tell me more about it.
Sure. It was nice to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. So I'm Melanie Lopez. I come from Mexico City and I'm living here in Izamal since like 4 years ago. I created through a lot of studies a new movement of sustainable hotels. And the idea is to prove that there is a way to have a real sustainable process in hotels. So we can maybe reply it to and show it to other hotels. So maybe we can change the way we do things. And we also created here the museum of the Casa Maya because a Casa Maya is a very important structure created by the Mayans for years of proof and test. And they created the best building for the environment and the weather of the area. So that's why we created this museum, because the Casa Mayas around the peninsula are dying. And I think it's very important that we keep this, the knowledge, and we show it to other people so we can reply it and use this type of architecture. And yeah, the hotel basically has a thinking before we even build it. We have to do two very important things that are part of the sustainability movement, which is first to analyze the place. So we need to sit down in the area and understand which animals live around, which plants and trees are around, and what the place needs. And then after a long time of reading the area, we were able to decide what elements and what structures and where we should use them. So we didn't have to, cut any tree or do any damage to the area and the living beings that were already here. And then the second thing we had to do is to create a system thinking, which is basically to understand, if we're doing a hotel, what the hotels need. They need water. It will have, need a building. It will need hot water. So you start thinking all the elements that the business will need. And then once you understand all of them, you have to think what will be the ecological structure or system you will need to use to cover that need. Okay. All right. So you start finding what ecological solutions you have for each need for a hotel, and start connecting each other. So, for example, if you need water, are you going to harvest rain? If you harvest rain and then you use it for a shower, for the people that stays here take a shower, so after they use them, it will turn into dirty water. So you need to do something with the water. So what are you going to do for clean your water and reuse your water so you don't contaminate? Also, what is going to happen with the garbage? So how you're going to eliminate garbage? And just start connecting all these dots and creating all these systems that are connected to each other or are interconnected. So you create a system thinking. And the system thinking and sustainability is just a copy of how nature works. Nature works that way. There is no garbage. Everything that is eliminated from one being, it will be the main need for another being. And everything will be interconnected. And that's just how a system thinking is. So this place was built with a system thinking and an analysis of the place of what they needed and what already existed there. Once we did all that, then we start deciding what to use. So we decide to use in the structures the Casa Maya, because it's something that the Mayans created for 100 years of test and error. And I will not have 100 or 200 years to do that. So I can start from there. So we decide to use them as structures. And then we start building other systems. Like, for example, we have this I forgot the name of this, but this the water, how we
Water tank or
no, the way we clean our waters
filters.
is the same as a wetland.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we analyze. There is already a system approved by ONU Habitat, which is basically a copy of a wetland does. So we created that system, and in our system, after 2 years of working with nature, it finally matured. And what it means by maturing is that the bacteria and microorganisms that were neither grow and had a whole colony of them. So they are able now to clean our waters with the plants and the bacteria and the microorganisms. We clean our waters, and we end up with clean water for different uses that we have in the hotel. And this is just one example of many other processes we created, so we can be really certain that we are a sustainable hotel. Yeah. We actually, with all these, reduced 87.55% our guest footprint, ecological footprint. So basically, everyone that stays here reduced 87.55% their ecological footprint per night.
This is compared to regular hotels.
Regular hotels, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, there is a lot more to do. We should get to the 100, but I think it's a big step, and a very good example for many other hotels to show that there is a way to do things differently.
Yeah. I think for me, what I found really interesting is that you are first taking philosophies of Mayans that used to live in Izamal, and they still live here, because the people who are live in this town are descendants of the Mayans, and they consider themselves Mayas as well, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I guess the process of gathering this knowledge was gathering the community to bring the knowledge, to basically transfer you the generational knowledge that was there, because through all Latin America, most of this knowledge is passed through generations, but by talking, not really by written language. Or even if it was, now it's difficult to find it. So can you tell me a little bit about this process of first finding the knowledge of the people, and then what did you find?
Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting point you're pointing there, because for the walls of the houses, we had to do a technique that is called bajareque. And the bajareque is a technique that the Mayans created for build their homes. But now, there is no really books that will show you how to do it, but you learn a little bit of some readings what it consists of. So when I arrived here, I had a little bit of knowledge, but I didn't really know how to do it. So I started talking with the community, and I found that mostly the old people, that they call it antiguos in here. The old people were the only ones that grew up with the grandmother that had their Mayan house, and they show him how to do the mix, and how to put it on the wall, so they could help their grandma to keep their homes up and still alive. So I had to connect with a lot of old people, and when they came here and I showed them what I needed to do, they told me, okay, yeah, I know how to do it, but I don't have the force, I don't have the strength anymore to do it. So I will bring my grandson, so he will help me, and I'll show him the technique. So there is about 3 people that came here, three old men that came here that knew how to do it, and they brought their grandsons. And the grandsons learned in here how to do it because he didn't even know what was a Mayan house. So he learned here, and they start building the walls. And all the walls around here were built by the hands of these, 2 generations that was an old man and the grandson, and they did everything. And from there, I learned how was the exact way to do the bajareque from them, because as you say, there is no books about it. It's a learning, a family experience actually. Because when you're a little boy and you lived with their father or the grandmother, and they still had a Mayan house, they have to build their own homes. So they have to learn how to do it, and they will build it as a family. Like all the family will reunion and build together the Maya house with their, as a family.
So, and you said that you selected this method of building because this weather is very humid and there is a lot of heat. So this helps with cooling, I guess, the inside of the hostel.
Yeah, because the earth, and not just in the Mayan world, but a lot of places around the world, all the old civilizations knew that or found that the earth was a very important element for construction, because when the sun hits the earth, the hot will not go through the earth right away. It will go through the day in different layers of the earth, will go through until it goes inside. But by the time that gets inside, it's already night and it's cooler. So that's why it helps a lot.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and in here in particular, because it's all the time hot, they created these ceilings that are 1.5 times taller than the walls, so the heat can go up and stay there, and then through the organic ceilings just get out. So that helps that the hot weather is not down, it's up, so you're not around it. So yeah, that's why it's so interesting, the construction with the earth and the Mayan, the technique of the bajareque.
Yeah, and you also you were telling me that, it's important for you to use this technique because also they are being in a way being lost, or they are about to be forgotten by the community, because as you said, the grandson really didn't know how to build like that, and they don't build like that not anymore. And maybe these grandfathers are the last ones who know how to do it in that way.
Yes, it is actually one of them died last year.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel very happy that his grandson learned before he died, because if he died, then the knowledge will stay there.
Yeah,
Stop
for sure.
right there.
Yeah, and what other things have you learned from these Mayan techniques about how to live with the environment?
Okay, well, one thing that I love about the Casa Maya is that it's so sustainable, because all the elements are from around here.
Yeah.
So they don't have to travel a long distance and generate CO2, just to get to the place you're going to use it.
Yeah.
So, all the elements are around here. And then another thing that I love is that when this place ends their life, stops as a hotel and it ends, all the elements will go back to the earth.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they are organic. So when they start dying and falling down, they will just turn into earth. And so our footprint will be very minimal. And that's something very important. So from the Mayan house.
Yeah, I guess also, some people might think this is more expensive way to building, but I don't know. I guess if you cut the cost from transportation from the materials, I don't know how.
Okay, it's not like the materials will be more expensive. What it will turn to be almost the same price is because you need a lot of hands. So for a Mayan family, it might not be expensive because they will build their own homes and the elements will be around them. So it's not going to be that expensive. But if you're going to build a hotel, and then you need a lot of people helping, then you need a lot of hands, and that's what makes almost the same price as a normal house, like a modern house, So that's what it is. But it's good because most of that money will not go to materials. It will go to the people of the place.
It will be more alive. I mean, constructions also is a way of the community gathering and sharing knowledge, and I don't know, having food sometime.
Yeah, spend time together.
It's a great culture.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but I also like that you not only focus on the ancient tradition of the Maya, and I think that's, for me, that's a really variable, because not many people, I think, are trying to recover these ancient traditions, not only here in Mexico, but through all Latin America. And I mean, in Europe, I don't think people think about it anymore. I mean, because in Europe and in the US, there is not connection to the ancient civilization still. I mean, I haven't seen, as far as I have traveled, they don't care much about the old civilizations because industrialization has taken over really fast. But here, where people still live next to, especially in Izamal, where people still live like ancient times and old traditions, I think it's very valuable to recover these traditions. But I guess some people might think, okay, yeah, but this is just in this town. I cannot apply this to other places. And what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, obviously it can be applied everywhere, but you need to study the local old cultures, what they did. For example, with the earth is fabulous because everywhere in the world you can use it, but it has their specifics per region. For example, in the north of Mexico, the weather is like really hot in the day and very cold at night. So if you use a type of bajareke, it cannot be used because the bajareke is very thin. It's about 5 to 8 centimeters thick because the weather needs that way. But in that part, because you get this extreme weather, then you use something called adobes, which are bricks but are like 40 centimeters thick. And the reason why it's that thick is because, as I said, the sun will hit in the day, but it will retain the hot. And by the time it goes inside, it will be very hot, but at night it's really cold over there. So you will have heat inside when it's cold outside.
Yeah.
So that's why it's thicker. And so everywhere in the world, you just have to analyze what's the weather and then decide, how thick or how will be the mixture you will use for earth.
Yeah.
But all the old cultures use them. So
Yeah.
it's just to understand what they did in the place.
Yeah. But I guess, I mean, we are in a different time as well. So there are new things that we have learned throughout the centuries. So what is the reason you incorporated new techniques to your hostel? Or what is the purpose of these new techniques you're using?
Yeah, okay. So for example, the painting of the walls. In the Mayan cultures, they use just limestone and water, which is good for the animals. But when you touch them, there is a powder that will come into your hands, and if it rains, it will fall down easier by the time, so you will need to paint more often. So as the time came, through the years, there were evolutions of the painting. So you start adding, they found, through this test and error, they found that if you add baba de nopal, I don't know, saliva of the nopal.
Yeah.
So basically, put the nopal in water for 24 hours, you get this. And you put it in the mixture. And if you put like soap and other elements that are natural too, then you get this same effect of don't have animals living in the wall. But then when the rain comes, the water will fall down because it has, soap. And then the powder will not go out because you put something to fix, which is the nopal, So there is these new foundings that were not used in the old times, but are still natural and improve the way of the painting.
Hi, I hope you are enjoying this episode. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and share it with more people. You can do it through YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more platforms. This will help the community of Telar Maestro to continue growing.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, the treatment of the water and the system you design is just something that also is not traditionally made this way.
The system thinking is something that is recently found and applied in sustainability. It doesn't mean it didn't exist, because nature is the way they work, but it's just that it was just found how nature does things,
So can you explain what is the process of the water and all the species you use to create this ecosystem?
The species, what you mean?
Or the plants, because you use plants to different.
For the cleaning of the water, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yes. So they were found in different testings, and as I say, ONU Habitat already, say it's a good way to clean the water, and they did their own testings. So basically, we use the one that was found that is really good to clean the black waters. I don't know how you say aguas negras.
The black water, maybe the waters from the. I'm not sure how to say, but it's from the toilet, I guess.
Yes, from the toilet. So the water from the toilet, they found that the best plant that can clean that water is the banana tree.
Okay.
And specifically Paradise is the name of the species. And it was found that it's the best for cleaning. Obviously, there is a pre-cleaning with the bacteria and all the microorganisms that are built and before the down of the trees, the banana trees. So they are the first ones that receive everything. The bacteria and the microorganisms that are built on the bottom of the system.
Okay, so these bacteria are created just by, because you planted the trees already and they are already there.
No. But we have different levels of different elements of nature that has to be, layer on the system. And there is other elements that we put on the bottom. So there is, it gets to the point that it's a special weather and everything down there for bacteria and microorganisms to evolutionate, to create, to grow and to have colonies,
Yeah.
And this system took me 2 years to mature, They were a little bacteria, they start growing, they found still a good place to live, and they start, growing and growing. And so everything that comes to the toilet goes there, and the first one that gets that are the bacteria and the microorganisms that are on the bottom of the system. Okay, then after they process what they eat, then there is the raíces,
roots, yeah.
the roots of the banana trees. So the banana trees eat from what the bacteria process, and they clean more the water. And actually, the banana trees take most of the water that came from the system. About 80% of the water that went in there will go out as evapotranspiration and go to the sky and turn into rain again in the future. Only 20% of the water that goes in will go to the next system, which is the treatment for gray waters.
Okay, so maybe for the people who are listening, the idea is the water comes out of the toilets and go to this tank, and in the tank you have a layer of bacteria. Took you 2 years to mature, so you put different species, I guess. And how did you find the bacteria? So?
But it's not like you found it. You put different layers of different elements that permit permit the evolution of these bacteria.
Okay. So it's like kind of soils.
Yes, the type of soils, the type of what you put. Like I have to put huecos. Holes in between. So there is a technique. There is a whole technique of how to build it. But you put a system that will make them easier, to live there and to reproduce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you build it layer by layer until 2 years, and then you planted the banana trees.
Yes.
Okay. And then you start adding more species of plants, or
no, basically for the waters of the toilet, just the banana tree and the bacteria are the best, and the elements we have, like carbon,
yeah,
and other elements that we use there.
Charcoal, I think.
Charcoal, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And other elements are the ones that do the magic. Yeah. And then the other system that is next to that one is another tank next to it. It has other type of layers that create other type of bacteria. And then we have there the plants that are aquatic plants, like the papiro.
Yeah.
And these plants are special for cleaning gray waters.
Okay.
Right?
Nice.
So basically at the end, after all this process, now these systems have to be previously think of how many people are going to use them because the size are different. For example, over here, as you see, I have another type of house that have also these systems, but the system is smaller because you have 3 people living there. You don't need big tanks. But on the hotel, then you need a bigger tank because you have to calculate how many people are going to be using it. So how many times are going to be using the toilet? How much water is going to go in there? Because the system needs to keep the water some time, so the bacteria and the trees and the plants can really clean the water.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's not just go in and out. It has to be there for some time. So there is a formula to calculate that too, how many times it has to be there. So how big is going to be the tank depends on how many people are going to use it, how many toilets, how many showers, how many laundry, everything has to be calculated, and then how much time has to be there, and then that's going to tell you how big is going to be the size. Because also the height of the system cannot be higher than 80 centimeters, because then the sun cannot go through, and then the bacteria cannot live. So everything has a reason. It's really a scientific process.
Yeah, I can see it's not really pretty easy. How long did you take you to learn all this process?
Well, I've been about 15 years taking courses around mostly Mexico, in the mountains, with a person that knew how to do all the different, each technique, it was with different teacher, and it was in different areas of Mexico.
So the teachers were scientists or were people from the local communities?
Well, actually, most of them are people that, learn from the old people, like old, like in the case in the Mexican, because most of them I took it in the center of Mexico, and it's an Aztec area. It was the Aztecs that lived there in the past. And they built a lot of these things in the past.
Oh, really?
So most of these people learn from them. They are a specialist in, maybe they do to university about cleaning waters, but they also, went to the communities and tried to learn again how was this built in the past. And they fusionate the new knowledge with the old knowledge and created something more technical.
Wow, that's cool. So in a way, the Mayans were engineers because they have these beautiful pyramids and also artists. I guess also that makes sense that they were able to understand how to treat water. So that's really cool.
That's something. I haven't gone through other cultures. They were a lot of things too they found, but at least in Mexico, I took 2 years to travel and live around Mexico because I wanted to understand all this. And I found amazing how the old cultures, the Mayans, the Aztecs, there is like thousands of ethnics now. But in the past, they already lived this way. They already knew how to do all these things. But all of them, the only thing that was the same for all of them is that they love to observe nature. And they reproduce what nature did. And that's what we're doing now with sustainability. Understanding nature and reproduce what nature does.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, that's the lesson, and I think that's what we need to learn if we want to still be in this planet. We need to see, observe nature. The Mayans love the observation. They took hours, and they have a specialist just taking hours observing what nature was doing in front of them. People seeing the skies every day, every night, and taking notations, and that's how they understand when to harvest, when to everything, because they observe nature. Yeah,
that's also I noticed from the ancient cultures of America. I haven't really got that deep into the ancient cultures in Europe, but as far as I know, most of the gods were humans. Like the Apollo, it was the sun god. In Latin America, it was more common to have gods were animals. Like the value of animals and nature was present, and the idea of having a symbiosis with nature was more important. For example, in the Incas, they thought, or I don't know if only the Incas thought that, but the communities in the Andeans thought that you only take from nature what is you need. You don't take more than it. And I guess, I think that's really valuable for the future, because some people might think, okay, why are you looking for the past? We are already in the future. We have cell phones, we have high-speed internet. We don't need this old culture to. I mean, this is already dead. And I have this argument actually with a lot of people that say, yeah, we are already part of the future, like, but as you say, like, I mean, we have some troubles that can be addressed with.
Well, the old cultures were more futuristic than us because they were able to live with nature and be and have their environment, and we're deleting our environment and we're gonna die with it. So for me, I think they were more evolved just to thinking to be survived, and have their future generations survive.
Yeah.
And as I said, like now we're using these new systems because what is happening is that modernization, I'm not against it because, as you know, we have here speed internet and all these technologies. We have Starlink. So we do have these things. And the difference is not what you live as a guest, is what happened after, after you use the bathroom, after you take a shower, what we're doing is after. You're not losing some commodities, no? So, what I said is that in our modern life, what we're doing is not thinking what happened after. We just think linear. We just extract, create something, use it, and throw it away. And we don't even know what's going to happen after. And I don't think that is evolutionary, because if we just think that way, we're gonna die with the system. If we think as nature thinks and as the ancient cultures think, which is, as I explained in the beginning, system thinking, then we're interconnecting everything, and we don't have garbage, we don't have all these contaminants, and we are reusing things. So we can still be alive here, and our future generations will have a place to stay. So, so I don't think because they were in the past, that's lost. So they took years to build these things. We can start from what they left, and with our new knowledge, create something better. But with nature.
Yeah, for sure. I think also something that I really find interesting that, as you said, I mean, it's not only that, okay, we have this system that is not sophisticated, because we think our system is sophisticated, but the idea of throwing everything and just getting new things and not knowing what to do with the material that is left, the trash, I don't think it's sophisticated. I mean, people in the past have this sophisticated system that were interconnected, and it was more complex, and they were thinking in many variables at the same time. We are so specialized and thinking only in this pipeline way of consuming. But also, it's not only that, okay, we have this environment and someday it will disappear. It's even the quality of life of people were better. So we don't have good quality of life. I mean, what you are doing, as far as I understand, also give better quality of life, because you have close to nature, you have more people around you, and this is way better. I guess not I guess, but I think so for everybody.
Actually, I study a little bit more what also I'm giving to my guests. And I learned that our modern constructions just don't contaminate only when the elements are created and used. They actually every day are throwing away chemicals that we're breathing them every day.
Sure, yeah.
So we don't have yet measure what will be the consequences of that for our health. And in these type of constructions where you use natural elements, you're not breathing that. You're in connection with nature, and you're breathing, something natural. And that's a way of also cleaning yourself and your system of breathing this every day.
Yeah. You also told me that, well, this place is in a special place because Izamal is being recognized as a magical city, and people here, I mean, it's not only that this sustainable hostel and the museum is here. You choose this because of a particular reason. You like the lifestyles of people here. They are already thinking in a way, in that different way of, I like to live in community, I like to be in nature. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah, when I arrived here, coming from Mexico City and then living in New York for some years, and I am actually an actuary as a professional. I just numbers, very analytic. Uh, when I came here, I get a very big hit because when I saw how the way of thinking was, when I started living it, it was so different from what I was used to, and what I learned basically is that people in here, and it comes from the ancient Mayas ways, they have their own, a lot of fruit trees. They have their own animals in the gardens, their chickens, their pork, and they live as a community. They have their own house, like the main Mayan house, and then on the sides, the house of the son and the grandsons and everything. So they are used to live in community, and they are used to have all their food covered, you know. So the way of living where you have all these things covered is more calm. And when you don't live around all the propaganda of needing more and more, you don't think you need more, So they are okay with the way they live. And if they don't like something, they are not worried if they lost their job, because they have covered all their, needs, basic needs, and they don't think they need more,
You told me that you had troubles with some finding people to work sometimes because if they don't like something, they just leave.
They just leave, and it's not that they have another work waiting, it's just that they don't like it, and they just leave and don't care if they don't have a job at that moment. It's just they have to be happy where they are.
Yeah, that's interesting, because in Europe, supposedly there is a safety net for you to live comfortable, because you have, in a way, housing. Because a lot of taxes, at least in Germany, are paid for the health system, for unemployment, for unemployment. I mean money for unemployment and different things. But I don't think people are happier, and because I think this is a strong safety net in a way, because there is a community. This is a safety net of food. There is a safety net of people who will take care of you, and also, maybe I guess the healthcare system is not that developed here as is in Ecuador. People are a little bit more healthy in a way. It's not because they are already living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, because they don't have stress. They have their needs covered. They eat from their garden, so there is, where the fruit came and the vegetables. So you don't use chemicals. So you eat healthier. You're not that stressed. You have a beautiful weather. When weather, that is clean. The air is clean. There is a lot of vegetation around you, so that the way what you're breathing is so different. So yeah, you have a healthier life. And we don't have to forget that the Mayans and the ancient cultures in Mexico, they created all this medical dictionary, or I don't know how you call that, but they already learned what, if they have something, what plant they need to use to heal. And they exist actually still here. There is 2 people in here that has like a drugstore for natural elements.
Yeah.
So you go there and tell them, like, what do you have, and they already know what natural elements you need to take as a tea or something to be better.
Yeah, I think actually pharmaceutical companies take a lot of elements, or at least to research around Amazon, because there are so many things that you can find in the compounds. Penicillin comes from kind of a fungi in a tree, as far as I understand. Yeah. So, but yeah, here I guess there are a lot of medications that can be. People knew how to treat them, but I guess in a way it's also a privilege, because we live in a kind of tropical zone and there is more diversity. But I guess in northern countries it's a little bit more tough. Yeah. And that's why I find it interesting that from Latin America, people are looking towards Europe and the US and using the same systems in a way to try to match the system we have here. But I think, the systems there are designed around scarcity as well. We have different, we have more, not scarcity, we have more abundance of at least food and plants. and I guess the system has to be adapted as you are doing already to this.
Yeah, obviously. As I explained you before, I lived in New York for some time. Um, and yeah, I think I am Latin, I went to New York to live. I missed a lot my culture. I missed my family. I missed mostly what I missed a lot, it was nature. That's what I missed a lot. And that's what I decided to come back. Even though I had my residence and I had a job in New York, but I was feeling empty. I needed all what I left, and I decided to come back and I started, building my future. I didn't start with this. I traveled around Mexico. I wanted to understand more about the culture and everything, and from there I came up with doing this. And plus, I did a master's degree on sustainability, and also I have a certification on Harvard for sustainability too. So I try to also specialize a little bit more what I learned from the people on the mountains, So yeah, it was a process, but I personally, everyone is different, but personally, I feel a lot happier right now.
Yeah, but also that's brave, because not many people, a lot of people are in America are looking to go to live in New York and have residency, have a New York salary, or live in these lifestyles of big city. And taking the decision, okay, we leave everything behind I guess it wasn't easy, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was not easy, but I was, when you're truly unhappy, you have to decide if you want to keep that way or want to be happy,
Yeah.
And that didn't make me happy. So I wanted to come back, and I came back here, and I love being here. I'm, around nature. I have fruits everywhere. Every season I have some fruits in the soil throwing away. And I love what I'm doing now. I want to show what I learned. I loved when I have guests that don't know even acknowledge what sustainability, and just they end up being here and they live happy, because in the beginning they are like, where is the air conditioning? I'm gonna die. There is 40 degrees in here, impossible to not have air conditioning. So they stay here and they are okay. Okay, I didn't feel that bad. I was okay, I was good, and I enjoy being here. And waking up and hearing all the birds that are in here, and going out and see all these colorful birds around. So it's an experience for them, and I am happy that people are seeing that there is a way to live in sustainable and not losing commodity.
Yeah. You say that this is a movement, and you're part of this movement. What do you mean by that? There are other hostels like this in Mexico?
No,
or?
there is a movement of sustainability,
Yeah.
Which is actually now growing into a I don't know what will be the translation, but regeneración.
Regeneration, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so, but anyways, there's a movement that a lot of people in different businesses in different areas want to show that there is a way to live sustainable without losing, a business or losing a way of living.
Yeah.
And about hotels, no, I created this place. I did everything, but I want to show that there is a way to do business without damaging the environment.
Sure. So, but there are not similar business in Mexico.
Well, which I know, no. There is some that want, use maybe energy. They put solar panels, or do something else. But a whole system thinking in a hotel, I haven't found one.
Oh wow! I'm not even around the world, because as far as I mean, maybe I don't know, but it doesn't seem like I heard something similar. That's impressive. Yeah, that's really cool. I don't know if you have something else to tell the people who want to know more about your work. What are your plans for the future, maybe?
Yeah. Well, first I will love to, people to come here and visit the museum or stay with us, so you know what is like a sustainable hotel and know more about the Casa Maya. So it's an open invitation to everyone. And just wanted to tell everyone that we should do something, it's just do one step by the time, we can change things that are very basic and make a whole difference in the world. And that's what I want to invite everyone to do, a little thing. Even separate garbage, maybe some countries already do. In Germany, I know they do that.
But I don't know where the garbage end up, because here
really?
what happens. I mean, most of you use also the
Compost.
like organic
Yeah.
trash and turning into part of the terrain. No? But I don't know what they do, to be honest. Maybe they do it. I mean, for me, it's a little bit. As far as I can see, I don't know if this is an outcome of industrialization, but I think the nature is not as alive as it is in Latin America or America even, because in the US you can see also trees that are colorful like we have here. The terrain has more, I mean, layers of fungi, or they just give colors even to the rocks. And I've been through Europe, and it feels like there is less density of, I don't know, like maybe microorganisms and things like that. And I thought, okay, this is just a perception. But my sister-in-law, she's from the US and she lived also in Italy. She thought the same. And then I found actually a source that was showing a map to the world of the diversity index. So they show that Europe really have low diversity, and reality is just, I don't know, maybe it's a product of industrialization or agriculture. It's been so long happening in Europe, or the way they do it is happening. So yeah, I think even though they use this system to recycle, I think still it's nature and all the things are not as alive as we have here.
As I said, everything is in nature, everything is connected, and for a system to work, it has to be so many elements. If you have only 2 or 3 elements still alive, it will be difficult because not all the elements can consume everything that is left from the other. But if you have so many different species, so it will be more biodiverse, and that will help all the system to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, in Latin America, and at least in this area, all the system has a lot of animals. There is so many. Probably you already being here have seen many animals.
Yeah, insects. Yeah.
A lot of insects.
Yeah,
and most of them are pollinizadores.
Yeah, pollinizers.
Pollinizers. So that helps to have more fruits and everything.
Yeah, there's something interesting. At least in Berlin, and I think this is true for different cities in Europe, they just have trees that are of one gender in the cities because they don't want to have fruits to fall. So when there are some times in the year, especially in June or May, that everybody is having allergies because as these trees are not pollinized and they don't bring fruits, then everybody is having these pollens through the face and head. And I didn't know that, but this is another, who knows how many aspects of this ecosystem working in this sophisticated way we are being cutting by not being so far away of nature that is causing problems that we thought.
Yes, obviously. Yeah, but actually monocultivo, we call it here, that it has only one type of species everywhere. And that is not a system, so that's not really a nature way of working. So it will create other problems.
Yeah.
Because there is, it's like bringing a non-native plant or animal to a place. There is it's not part of the system of the place, and it can reproduce maybe more and and then kill some type of plants.
Yeah.
So it is
monocrop, I think it's called.
Monocrop. Okay. Yeah, so that's not good because the nature doesn't work that way. Nature has as many species as possible so the system can work.
Yeah. I heard there is some movement in the US to implement this more sustainable farming, at least. But I think the problem might be the scale, because I mean there is a lot of need for food for millions of people. I don't know what is the scalability of this. What do you think about the scalability of this?
There was a system created in Mexico which is called la milpa, and la milpa is the way they did food with the maize, with corn. So basically, the milpa has 4 type of plants that live in the same. For example, 1 meter square, earth. It was they have the corn, And then they have the calabaza, which I don't know what will be, the chili,
Pumpkin.
the pumpkin, the chili, and then the frijol,
Beans.
the beans. They all live together, and there is a purpose to being together because each one protect each other from
Oh wow.
from the other animals, and also they created on the soil different type of chemicals that make the life easier for everyone.
Oh wow, that's
So
really
they work together,
smart.
and that way of working made them to create a lot of food. No, it was just not one square meter. It was like tons of hectares. We could be building hectares of food because the system
Acres,
worked.
I think.
Acres, because they built this way, and nature made their thing. So they didn't have to put anything to that to survive. Nature did their thing by working together.
Yeah, for sure.
And also in that Mexico City, when the Aztecs were alive, they created this type of food construction, which is in the lake, and in the lake put wood around, like rectangular of woods, and then put earth inside, and their food was put on top of that. And in la milpa, what I explained, was built on top of that, and there was rectangles everywhere, one by one. There was like a river, and then a rectangle, a river, a rectangle. And this way of production were able to sustain like 200,000
Wow.
people of the city,
Yeah.
just from those rectangles of
Wow.
food. So it's not that it cannot be possible with nature. It's that we need to understand nature to know how to reproduce it and make it work.
Yeah.
Because there has been proof, at least on the Aztecs and other old cultures, that it's possible.
Yeah, I actually heard someone in the US, I think close to Texas, I heard that he was able to turn a desert into a grazing place just by, I think he just made a mixing between having animals and also composite parts and planting different things. And I guess, yeah, I guess I really like these ideas because it seems that it's not possible to reverse what is happening. But I think, as you have proved, also there is a business point of view on that, or that it can be implemented. So people can think, okay, it's not that you have to go back into ancient times and live like really, everything has to be like all this. Like you can also use science, you can use the new technologies, and you can create a healthy future, a better future.
Yeah, it's just you go to the past to read what they already built for thousands of years, so you don't have to start from zero. You already have a place to go to have something, and then from there, then you start building with the new things, and at least in Latin America, there is a lot of cultures that already left a lot of knowledge. So we just have to take a look and start from there to build something better.
Yeah. Okay, so what are your plans for the future?
What are my plans for the future? Well, I would love to reproduce what I'm doing here. That's one of the things. But first, I am working on being perfectionist more what I'm doing right now, and wanted to bring more people so they know there is a way to have a nice hotel without losing, commodities, but changing everything after you use it.
That's cool. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I would love to talk about it just like I'm doing now. I've been going to forums and other places that I was invited to explain about these things. So really what I want is to prove there is a way of not losing our commodidades, is commodities? No.
Comfort.
Our comfort. I want to show there is a way to have a sustainable way of living without losing comfort. That's what I want to show.
Yeah, and how people have received your ideas and your work.
I think pretty good, because I have had people in here that don't even know what sustainability is, and they left happy and very excited.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that I didn't plan and it happened is that I have had some clients that come from Cancun and other places that they were from Mayan areas, but they left very young to work in Cancun and other regions that are very tourist. And sometimes they come visit family in Izamal. And they stayed with me, and then next day come to me and say, "Oh, Melanie, you don't know how great was my night." And I say, "Oh, great. What did you like?" And she said, one of them said, when I was little, my grandmother, I used to be with my grandmother a lot, and she had her Mayan house. And my best memories of my life was with her. And when I stayed there and I revive all this experience of being in a Casa Maya, it reminded me my grandmother and what I had with her. And it was, very, very emotional for me. And I said, wow, that's amazing, being able to recreate their living of a person, the special
Yeah.
moments of a person.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I guess a lot of special moments are built when you have a lot of input, not being in a square white. And
Yeah.
I mean, with people, the colors, smells, the insects, the light coming, you feel comfortable in this place that is built for that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm happy that I was able to experience this, and I was able to meet you and learn from you, because I think this is, for me, I was amazed by all the knowledge you have gathered, and it's like really scientific, and at the same time it's traditional. And I think a lot of people are interested into going to that way, and hopefully they will listen and they will spread the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for being here, and I thank the public for listening, and I see you in the next episode.
Great. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.